You lie down, eyes soft, breath slower now. The world outside fades, and within you another world begins to glow. Not a world made of thoughts or dreams, but of living, breathing presence. You feel still, but deep inside, movement continues. Within your belly, a soft murmur rises, not from your lungs or your voice, but from something smaller. Much smaller. Tiny beings, countless in number, drift through your intestines like plankton in a sunlit sea. They do not sleep when you sleep. They hum, they dance, they dine, they divide. A living community, always in rhythm. Your body is not just your own. It is a vast habitat, a living ecosystem. And right now, as you breathe in the quiet of this evening, trillions of microorganisms are at home inside you, most of them in your gut. This is the microbiome, your inner ocean. And it sings a quiet song of life. They are not invaders. They are part of you. You grew up with them and they with you. They live in your body's dark corridors, in folds and creases on the moist lining of your digestive tract. And in return for food and shelter, they help you digest, protect, and even feel. Imagine them now not as threats or strangers, but as companions. Little chemists and caretakers. They work while you rest, breaking down fibers your cells can't digest, creating vitamins, sending messages. In your stillness, their symphony begins to rise. They speak in scentless molecules, in silent exchanges. No words, no voices, just tiny vibrations of life passing between them and you. You might not hear them, but your body does. Your immune system listens. Your gut listens. Even your brain quietly listens. You are not a single self. You are a we. And when you begin to see your body this way as a great gathering of life, something changes. The inner silence becomes rich. The quiet becomes filled with meaning. There is peace in knowing that even in your loneliest moments, you are never truly alone. Now picture your gut as a long, winding path, soft and warm and alive. Lining its walls, layer upon layer of bacteria, fungi, archaea, ancient and diverse. Some have been with humans since before language, before fire. They have always been here. They come from your mother, from the air, from the earth. They passed into you the moment you were born. Your first breath was not just air, it was contact. The meeting of worlds. A frontier crossed. They settled in and began to build. And though they are small, their influence is vast. Imagine a tiny seed that grows a forest, one you carry inside. They help train your immune system, help you digest complex foods, help shape your mood. Their whispers echo throughout your body. Each one of them is a note in a larger song. Not every note sounds the same. Some bring harmony, others may create dissonance. The balance matters. A healthy gut is a symphony, rich, layered, quietly coordinated. A disrupted gut is more like static, confused, chaotic. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, your body is listening. Listening inward, past your breath and bones, into that deep gut symphony. Signals flow back and forth. From gut to brain, from brain to gut. An old conversation ongoing since before you were born. This is the beginning of your microbiome story. A gentle prologue written not with ink, but with life. Each cell of yours plays host. Each microbe plays a role. Together, they shape your health, your energy, even the way you dream. Let that thought settle gently now. Let it rock you like a slow wave. You are a host, yes. But more than that, you are a bridge between your cells and the world they house. Between your body and the beings who live in it. You are both the landscape and the life. And in this quiet communion, something beautiful begins to emerge, trust. Your body trusts its microbes most of the time. And they trust you too. Together, you form a whole, one that is stronger, wiser, and more capable than either side alone. There is wonder in this relationship. A daily exchange of gifts. You offer food, space, protection. They offer nutrients, immune support, and chemical signals that ripple through your nervous system. Theirs is a silent language, but it speaks in volumes your body understands. Can you feel it now, that slight inner warmth, that comfort in your belly? That is not just digestion. It's presence. It's the hum of life, steady and kind. So tonight, as your breath slows, imagine the world within you growing quiet, too, not from absence, but from peace. A contented peace. The kind that comes when everything knows its place and plays its part. You are not a passive shell, not an island. You are a thriving city, a rainforest, a carefully tuned ecosystem. And as you sink into sleep, all those lives continue, softly, quietly, rhythmically. Like a lullaby playing beneath your skin. The stillness deepens now. And as your body drifts further into rest, that internal symphony continues its song. The microbiome sings to your cells. Your cells listen. Your breath flows like a tide. You are harmony. You are host. You are home. And tomorrow we will step deeper into this forest, where unseen wildflowers bloom and the roots of your inner garden stretch toward the light. Not a garden in the soil, not beneath the sun, but a garden inside you, lush, teeming, endlessly alive. This is your gut microbiome. And it's more than a collection of microbes. It is an ecosystem. A whole world hidden within the soft folds of your body. Every inch of your intestines is like a winding trail through this living forest. Moist, warm, dark, perfect for life to thrive. The walls of your gut are lined not just with cells, but with the rich diversity of life, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microscopic companions. Each one with a role, a function, a place in the greater whole. Walk with me now softly through this inner garden. Imagine each species of microbe as a plant or a tree. Some are tall and sturdy, anchoring the ecosystem. Others are delicate, seasonal, they flourish only when certain nutrients are around. A few are like vines, weaving connections between others. Some are helpful. A few may be harmful if left unchecked. But together, they form balance, a living landscape. No two gardens are exactly the same. Your microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint, shaped by how you were born, where you've lived, what you've eaten, how you've healed. Every laugh, every fever, every bowl of soup, it all left an imprint on this landscape. Now feel your breath, soft and slow. As you inhale, the outside world touches the inside. The food you eat is more than fuel, it is an offering to this inner community. Fibers from fruits, grains, and vegetables become compost for the microbes. They ferment them, break them down, turn them into short-chain fatty acids, tiny miracles that nourish your gut lining, calm your immune system, and even affect your mood. You are not simply digesting food. You are feeding a forest. This forest, in turn, nourishes you. Let's pause beside one trail where a species of bifidobacterium thrives. These microbes specialize in breaking down milk sugars, especially early in life. In infants, they dominate, protecting the young gut and preparing it for the wider world. They are like gentle gardeners, clearing the way for others. A little farther, we meet lactobacillus, often found in fermented foods like yogurt and kimchi. These are your fermenters, they love sourness, love to bubble and fizz. In the right balance, they bring ease to digestion. Their byproducts can soothe inflammation and nudge your immune system toward peace. Keep walking and you'll find the mysterious Faecalibacterium prosnitzii, harder to pronounce, easy to appreciate. This species releases anti-inflammatory compounds that help protect your gut lining. It's shy, sensitive to change, but powerful when nurtured. Like a delicate orchid, it needs the right soil to bloom. And then tiny predators too. Bacteroids, Prevotella, Eubacterium, hundreds, thousands of varieties, living not in competition, but in a quiet truce. In balance, they support each other. If one grows too dominant, the garden can suffer. But if tended gently, the whole ecosystem becomes more resilient. So how do you tend to your inner garden? Not with pesticides, not with force, but with nourishment, variety, patience. Each bite of plant-based food, leafy greens, legumes, nuts, berries, adds new colors to the microbial canvas. Each walk in the woods, each moment of calm, supports the soil. Sleep too matters. Stress can scorch the fields within. Rest is like rainfall to the microbiome. Even the air you breathe plays a role. Exposure to nature, to animals, to soil, all these things add complexity to your inner world. A sterile life is not a balanced one. Your garden thrives on gentle exposure, small wildnesses, tiny challenges that shape strength. Think back to childhood, to playing outside, to getting dirty, to tasting things before washing your hands. That too was the microbiome taking root, collecting its seeds. Every scrape, every hug, every shared spoon, a bit of the world entered you and helped you grow. Now let's lie down among the roots of this inner forest. Can you feel the hum of microbial work, not in sound, but in sensation? That calm belly after a nourishing meal. That lightness after movement. That steady energy that rises from the core. These are signs that your garden is blooming. But even the best gardens face storms. Antibiotics, though life-saving, are like wildfires burning away not just the bad, but the good. Diets high in ultra-processed foods starve helpful species. Stress clenches the gut, driving out peace-loving microbes. Sleep deprivation shifts the balance. The forest grows sparse. Yet even a burned forest can regrow. Even after disruption, the microbiome is resilient. With gentle care, biodiversity returns. Probiotic foods offer seeds. Prebiotic fibers nourish the soil. Rest invites regrowth. And the moment you begin again, the garden begins again too. Your microbiome listens. It listens to what you eat, how you sleep, how you feel. And it responds subtly, slowly, with thousands of little adjustments. Your garden is not static. It is alive, adaptive, endlessly curious. And you, dear listener, are both the gardener and the garden. You are not separate from your microbes. You are an environment, a host, a collaborator. Every day, your choices shape the species that flourish within. Not with control, but with relationship. With attention. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let this image settle deep. Your belly is a forest, a reef, a garden. Teeming with life. Complex beyond measure. Delicate yet strong. Quiet yet powerful. And this garden, too, communicates. Not just with your gut, but with your immune system. With your hormones. With your brain. There are messages moving through your body now, chemical trails that flow from the forest to your thoughts. Molecules shaped by microbes entering your bloodstream, nudging your mood, softening or sharpening your feelings. Can your gut truly speak to your mind? Can a microbe make you feel something? To answer that, we'll need to listen closer. We'll need to follow the trail of molecules and find out where their messages go. We'll go next to the beginning of that conversation where the first whispers rise from the belly and drift upward. Before you ever opened your eyes to the world, something opened within you. Not a thought, not a word, but a welcome. A silent invitation. The moment you were born, you were touched by more than human hands. You were met by life so small it could not be seen, yet it would stay with you forever. Your first microbiome began not with a choice, but with contact. As you left the warmth of the womb, you entered the arms of a world teeming with microbes, living threads that wrapped around you, seeped into you, began to settle. This wasn't a contamination. It was a beginning. A colonization by allies. If you were born vaginally, your very first gift was from your mother, not just her heartbeat or breath, but her bacteria. You passed through a world of microbes designed for this very moment, and they found your skin, your mouth, your tiny, coiled gut. If you were born by C-section, the story was different, not lesser, just different. Your microbes came from the hands that held you, the air that touched you, the milk that followed. Life still came. It always finds a way in. And so it began. At first, your gut was nearly empty, a blank field waiting to be sown. But within hours, microbes were taking root. Some came from your mother's milk, rich in sugars made not for you, but for them. Special prebiotic sugars that feed bifidobacteria, species finely tuned to the infant gut. Others came from your environment, from skin, breath, air, touch. Each interaction brought new settlers. Each cuddle a quiet transfer of invisible life. This wasn't a single moment. It was a slow unfolding. The microbiome doesn't build in a day. It blooms like spring in waves. Early species arrive first, fast-growing pioneers. They digest simple sugars, make the environment just right for others to follow. Then more complex microbes settle in, forming layers, establishing communities. By the end of your first year, your gut was already a city. It had neighborhoods, regions where certain microbes clustered. It had builders, fermenters, defenders. And it was always changing. Each new food, each illness, each growth spurt nudged the population in new directions. But even as you grew, this first microbial contact remained a kind of imprint. Your early microbiome shaped how your immune system learned what to fight and what to befriend. It taught your gut how to digest, your cells how to tolerate, your brain how to respond. It was not just decoration, it was design. Let that thought settle for a moment. Before you knew language, before memory, your body was already learning through life itself. The microbes that first touched you became your silent teachers. Some of them are still with you now, tracing unbroken lines back to your very first day. And so, the story of your microbiome is also the story of your becoming. From newborn cries to toddling steps, from fevers to laughter, your microbial landscape shifted like seasons. Antibiotics may have cleared the fields for a time. Illnesses may have shaken the balance. But always it returned. New life. New growth. New arrangement. Your gut, like a forest, remembers how to regrow. And even now, as you lie here years, maybe decades later, your microbiome still carries echoes of that original bloom. Some species fade. Others remain. Like rings in a tree trunk, your microbial story is layered with time. But what did they do, those first microbes? They spoke. Not in words, but in chemicals. In subtle signals. They whispered to your immune system, "This is friend." They taught your body what danger felt like and what safety did. They trained your cells to tolerate, to recognize, to balance. Some of the signals went even further. Tiny compounds released in your gut drifted upward, through your bloodstream, toward your brain. They touched the cells that shaped emotion, attention, sleep. Even in infancy, your microbes were already co-authoring your experience of the world. This is the quiet miracle. That the bacteria in your belly might shape the way you feel. We often think of the mind as a separate thing, housed in the head. But the roots of thought are tangled deep. They wind down through nerves, vessels, immune signals, all the way into the folds of the gut. And from the very beginning, your microbes have been down there, humming softly, playing their part. The birth of your microbiome is not a chapter that ends. It's a thread that continues, adapting, shifting, responding. You and your microbes are still in conversation, still shaping each other moment by moment. Now breathe deeply. Feel how much of your story began not with noise or drama but with quiet. With tiny beings finding a home, building a world, helping you become you. Their descendants are still with you. Their whispers are still heard. And as your body continues to evolve, their messages continue to rise, floating upward, carried by molecules, signaling to the vast and waiting mind. Where do those messages go? To answer that, we'll follow them. We'll trace the path from the garden of your gut to the firelight of your brain. Settle into the stillness again. Let your breath rise and fall like a gentle tide. Now, drift deeper, not just into sleep, but into the subtle language your body has always spoken. A language older than words. A conversation so quiet you rarely hear it, yet so constant it shapes everything you are. This is the dialogue between your gut and your brain. Not in sentences, not in sounds, but in the movement of molecules, tiny messengers, chemical thoughts passed from one part of you to another. They rise from the garden of your belly like morning mist and drift upward, carried through your bloodstream, whispered along nerves until they reach your mind. Imagine it like this. Your gut is a storyteller. Your brain, a listener by the fire. And between them, the messages rise like sparks. Some of these messages begin with the food you eat. Fibers ferment in your gut, creating short-chain fatty acids, small, simple molecules that calm inflammation and feed your cells. They act like letters in a bottle, drifting from your digestive tract to your brain's protective walls, reminding it to rest, to repair, to relax. Other messages are more direct, molecules like serotonin. You may know serotonin as a mood chemical, a neurotransmitter that helps you feel calm, happy, balanced. But what you may not know is this: nearly 90% of your body's serotonin is made in your gut. Not in your head, not in your thoughts, but in the lining of your intestines with the help of microbes. They don't feel emotion, not the way you do, but they help create the chemistry for it. In the presence of certain nutrients, tryptophan from food, for instance, microbes help produce the compounds that become serotonin. It's as if they're tending the soil from which calmness can bloom. Then there's dopamine, another familiar name in the orchestra of emotion. It plays the music of motivation, reward, attention. Some of it, too, is crafted down below in the gut's soft chemistry lab. And while these neurotransmitters may not always cross into your brain directly, they influence the pathways that do. They send signals to your immune system, to your endocrine system. They alter the rhythm of hormones. They affect the permeability of your gut wall, the tone of your vagus nerve, the pace of your digestion. All of this shapes your mind. It's not a straight road from gut to brain. It's more like 1,000 footpaths crisscrossing a wild, rich land. A vast and complex dialogue where feelings begin as chemistry, stirred by microbes, influenced by food, shaped by sleep, colored by breath. And your body listens. Your brain is not floating above the rest of you, directing from a distance. It is constantly tuned in, receiving updates about hunger, safety, balance, stress. It listens for signs of harmony and for signs of unrest. When your gut is in balance, the messages are soft and steady. You feel it as clarity, as comfort, as emotional ease. But when things fall out of balance, when the microbial garden is distressed, the signals can grow sharp or cloudy. It's why you may feel anxious with an upset stomach. Why sadness can come with bloating or discomfort. Why fatigue sometimes rises from deep within your core. Your microbes don't mean harm. They're just reporting their conditions. When the gut struggles, the whole system knows. Inflammatory molecules may rise. Hormonal ripples may reach your mind. And without even realizing it, your mood shifts. Not from thought, but from biochemistry. It's not all one way either. The brain sends its own messages down. Through stress. Through cortisol. Through tension in the nervous system. A worried mind can tighten the gut, starve helpful microbes, shift the balance. It's a two-way conversation and both voices matter. This is why stress can change digestion. Why anxiety alters appetite. Why emotional healing often begins not in talk, but in rest and in nourishment. So tonight, as you lie here in stillness, picture that invisible thread. From the base of your skull to the base of your belly, signals rise and fall. Chemical notes, electrical pulses, soft signals of sensation. They say, I'm hungry. I'm safe. I'm hurting. I'm healing. And even when you sleep, the dialogue continues. In your dreams, the mind replays images, memories, thoughts. But in your gut, the microbes keep working. Breaking down what you've eaten. Releasing molecules into the bloodstream. Tuning the hormonal chorus that will shape your morning mood. You are not idle in sleep. You are in deep conversation with yourself. Feel that now, not with your thoughts, but with your awareness. The light in your belly. The current that flows beneath. That is your body whispering from the roots. That is your second voice, always speaking, always listening. So many of your emotions, your choices, your cravings, they begin here. In the dark warmth of your gut, where microbes stir and molecules rise. There's a strange, deep comfort in that. Because it means you're not just your thoughts. You're also your chemistry, your ecology, your inner weather. And when you understand this, you can care for yourself more gently. Not just through ideas, but through nourishment, through rest, through trust. The molecules are still moving. Even now, serotonin and dopamine and other chemical messengers rise softly through your system. Some help you fall asleep. Others prepare your dreams. A few simply say, all is well. You don't need to control the dialogue. Just be part of it. Trust the signals. Follow their rhythms. Be the listener your body longs for. And as your breath deepens, feel how your gut's soft garden is not silent. It speaks to your brain with every molecule it releases. It guides the mood, the thoughts, the waves of waking and sleeping. And at the center of it all, a quiet voice pulses, not in words, but in knowing. The knowing that something ancient connects your belly to your brain. A knowing that becomes clearer still when we follow the path of those signals. Not just to the mind, but to the mind within the gut itself. You lie still. The room is quiet, but inside you a gentle current flows. Not in your chest, not in your thoughts. Lower, deeper. A place where silence hums with sensing. Where feeling lives before it finds form. This is your gut, and tonight we meet the mind hidden within it. The second brain. That's what scientists sometimes call it. But the name barely touches its mystery. It's not a brain in the way your head holds one. No memories of names, no problem-solving puzzles. This one works in pulses, not plans. In rhythms, not logic. It doesn't think. It knows. The second brain lives in the lining of your digestive tract, a long, winding web called the enteric nervous system. Over 100 million neurons dwell there, nestled in the folds of your intestines. That's more neurons than in your spinal cord. They do not wait for instructions from above. This network acts on its own. It moves muscles. It coordinates digestion. It senses nutrients. It monitors microbes. And it communicates with itself, with your immune system, and with your primary brain. But this gut-based brain is not just about moving food. It feels. It responds to emotion. It helps shape emotion. It remembers patterns your conscious mind may not. The subtle way your body reacts to stress, or to comfort, or to grief. Have you ever felt nervous and noticed your stomach churn before you could explain why? That's the second brain already speaking. Imagine it now. Coiled inside you like a sea creature, sensing vibrations, shifting with the tides of your breath, curling around experiences. Ancient, instinctual, and wise, this network evolved long before complex thought. It comes from a time when survival depended on listening to the world, to the self. Long before we had stories, this inner mind was already writing its language in pulses and pressure. And though it doesn't form thoughts like your upper brain, it influences them strongly through the vagus nerve, a wandering river of communication. It sends constant updates. How full you feel, how inflamed your gut is, whether your microbiome is in balance. These messages reach your brain and quietly shift your mood, your focus, your sense of safety. Think of the second brain like a tuning fork. It picks up the vibrations of life, food, fear, joy, illness, and resonates. That resonance travels upward, affecting how you experience the world. It doesn't speak in words, but you know its language. You feel it when your stomach flutters with anticipation, when you feel heavy after sorrow, when peace brings lightness to your core. These are not metaphors. These are real responses. Neurotransmitters firing, muscles relaxing or tensing, hormones shifting. Your gut-brain feels your life as you live it. It holds a kind of memory, not of facts or dates, but of states. It remembers what stress feels like. It remembers what calm feels like. And it adapts. If the world around you has been harsh, your second brain may tighten, may brace itself. If your world is safe, it may soften again. So when you take care of your gut, with food, with rest, with attention, you are not just helping digestion. You are reassuring a sentient system. You are saying you can relax now. It's safe to feel again. Breathe into that thought. A soft breath. A long exhale. Feel your belly rise, then fall. Let the second brain listen. This part of you may be quiet, but it responds quickly. Even your breath can calm it. Deep, slow breathing activates the vagus nerve. This sends soothing signals throughout the enteric nervous system. Muscles relax. Blood flows. The microbiome, too, responds. And with that relaxation, digestion improves. Inflammation eases. And your mind, the one in your head, begins to feel lighter. This is the beautiful loop between your brains. Top and bottom. Head and gut. Each listening. Each speaking. Partnership older than thought. And though the second brain doesn't dream, it may still shape your dreams. The gut influences sleep hormones, melatonin included. Calm gut makes for deeper rest. And in that rest, your whole system restores balance. Neural, hormonal, microbial. So tonight, as you drift deeper, imagine this gut-based mind like a moonlit tide, rising and falling, feeling the weight of the day and the softness of the dark, tending your insides as a shepherd tends a flock, steady, present, faithful. You don't need to direct it, just trust it. Trust that the second brain is doing what it knows, sensing, digesting, communicating, feeling, always there, even when the upper mind drifts away. And as you fall further into rest, you may begin to notice how this gut wisdom doesn't end with motion or digestion. It moves beyond into something more surprising, something almost poetic. Because in this second brain, guided by microbes and mood, a question begins to rise. Can these tiny beings actually make you feel? Sink deeper now. Let your breath soften. Let your thoughts loosen their grip. Tonight, we drift into an idea both curious and comforting, that the smallest lives inside you may help shape how you feel. Not in loud ways, not in commands or decisions, but in murmurs, in signals, in moods that rise like fog and settle without asking why. These microbes, your microbiome, are not conscious in the way you are. They don't wish or want or worry, but they influence, they ferment, they break down, they produce. And what they produce doesn't stay in the gut. It travels through blood, through nerves, up into the spaces where feeling begins. Let's start with a feeling, calm. That lightness in your chest, the unclenching of your jaw, the exhale that doesn't stop short. Calm is not just a thought. It is a chemistry. And many of the compounds that help you feel calm, like GABA, serotonin, and dopamine, are created in part by the bacteria in your gut. Lactobacillus and bifidobacterium are two such companions. They help ferment fibers and produce GABA, a neurotransmitter that reduces nervous activity in your brain. More GABA, less tension. It's as if they're softening the lights, drawing the curtains, turning down the noise. Not for themselves, but for you. And what about joy? That upward, airy energy? That laugh that surprises you? Dopamine plays a part. A neurotransmitter involved in reward, motivation, pleasure. Certain species of gut bacteria can influence the production of dopamine's building blocks. They can't make you feel joy, but they can help you build the road toward it. Now imagine the opposite. A heavy day. The world feels dim, the body slow. You haven't done anything wrong. You just feel low. That, too, can have microbial roots. An imbalance in the gut, called dysbiosis, can lead to increased inflammation. Inflammation, in turn, affects how neurotransmitters are processed. It can block the receptors meant to receive serotonin. It can change the brain's sensitivity to pleasure. Even more, it can signal danger, not actual danger, but a biochemical sense of something's not right. And that message is felt emotionally. You may feel anxious, or numb, or restless without cause. All of this might begin with a shift in the gut. Too few of the helpful species. Too many of the inflammatory ones. Not enough fiber to feed the calm makers. Too much sugar feeding the disruptors. This isn't about blame. It's about balance. Because your microbiome is not fixed. Changes with you, with what you eat, with how you sleep, with the stress you carry or release. And just as the gut can pull you downward, it can help lift you again. Through care. A warm meal filled with diverse plant fibers. A moment of stillness, laughter, touch, sleep. All these things don't just affect your mind. They affect your microbes. And in turn, your microbes affect your mind again. It's a loop, a beautiful, complex feedback loop. You don't need to understand every molecule to feel its effects. You just need to know that your gut and your mind are not two distant worlds. They are one woven system, and your microbiome, that invisible forest inside you, is an orchestra of chemical emotion. A composer that doesn't perform on a stage, but in your bloodstream. This music is quiet, but it plays all the time, and you, the listener, may not always hear the notes, but you feel the melody. There's a kind of grace in knowing this. That sadness sometimes is not your fault. That joy sometimes is not just luck. That part of how you feel is born in the bellies of tiny beings who depend on your care, and, in turn, care for you. This is not magic. It is not wishful thinking. It is science, emerging, evolving, astonishing. We are only beginning to understand the full scale of this emotional microbiome. But what we do know is this: when you support your gut, you support your mind. And sometimes, healing can begin with something as simple as a change in dinner, or a longer sleep, or time in nature, breathing in the diversity that your body once evolved to host. Let that truth settle in you now. Feel how your belly holds more than food. It holds potential, to soothe, to center, to lift. And while your microbes cannot dream, they can set the stage for better dreaming. By calming inflammation, by helping you produce melatonin, by softening your body into sleep. They are like sentries at the edge of the forest, quiet, present, watchful. And so, as you rest, know that the chemistry of feeling is already in motion. Soft neurotransmitters float upward. Hormones find their rhythm. The second brain, gently nudged by microbes, keeps its nightly watch. And beyond this feeling, joy, calm, or sorrow, lies something stranger still, something unexpected, that your microbes may also shape your wants, your cravings, your urges, the quiet voices that whisper, "Eat this, not that." And so, in the next breath, in the next chapter, we will follow those voices. Not to the mind, but to the mouth. There's a voice inside you. It doesn't speak in words, yet it can be loud. It says, "A little more sugar," or "Go back for that snack." It says, "You need something rich, something salty, something fast." You've heard it. We all have. But where does it come from? Not always from habit. Not always from need. Sometimes, gently, it begins in your belly. Let's listen. Deep within your gut, your microbiome lives in a rhythm. And like any community, it has preferences, what it thrives on, what it avoids. Different species feed on different things. Some love fiber. Others adore fat. Some bloom on sugar. When you eat a certain food, you feed certain microbes. And the more often you feed them, the more they multiply. The more they multiply, the more influence they gain. They begin to shape the balance of your inner garden, and possibly the chorus of your cravings. This is not control. It's not a puppet master pulling your strings. It's more like a nudge, a suggestion, a quiet vote from below. Because microbes have the ability to influence your appetite-regulating hormones. They may increase the production of ghrelin, which signals hunger. They may alter leptin sensitivity, which tells you when you're full. They may release short-chain fatty acids that affect the vagus nerve, which, in turn, tells your brain what the gut prefers. It's a gentle lobbying system, and sometimes, when certain microbes dominate, especially those that feed on sugar or processed fats, the cravings become louder, not because your body is lacking, but because your microbial balance has shifted. You are, in a sense, being influenced by your invisible guests. But here's the wonder: this system is flexible. When you change what you eat, you change which microbes grow. After just a few days of more fiber, more variety, more whole foods, your cravings may begin to change, too. The voices shift. The votes realign. The microbiome is always listening to you, and you are always listening to it, even if you don't realize it. Now, take a moment to remember, not just ideas, but feelings, how you feel after a comforting meal, how certain foods bring peace, others bring heaviness, that sleepy fog after too much rich food, that sharp clarity after something simple, light, nourishing. Those are microbial echoes, too, because gut microbes can influence the production of metabolites that affect your brain, and with it, your focus, your memory, your alertness. Studies have shown that disruptions in the microbiome, especially those caused by poor diet, lack of sleep, or stress, can lead to mental fog, difficulty concentrating, even a subtle shift in emotional memory. This is not your imagination. It's your biology, responding, recalibrating, and sometimes a memory itself can trigger a craving. You walk past a bakery, and suddenly, your body is flooded with longing, not just for sugar but for warmth, for childhood, for comfort. Your gut remembers how that food felt. Your brain remembers where you were, and together they ask for it again. This loop, memory, craving, emotion, is ancient. It's how your body learns what is safe, what is soothing, what is home. And yet, this system can be tricked. In modern times, many of our foods are engineered to be more rewarding, more stimulating, more immediately satisfying. And the microbiome doesn't always know how to keep up. It adapts, but sometimes in ways that create imbalance. It begins to favor fast energy, sugar, simple carbs, fried fats. And the cravings that arise may not reflect your body's true needs, but the preferences of your current microbial population. This is why the process of healing, of realignment, can feel like withdrawal. You may feel irritable, tired, unsatisfied, not because something is wrong, but because your inner community is reshaping itself, like a garden being weeded, like a forest returning to balance. And during this process, kindness matters, patience matters, because the more gently you feed your microbes, with variety, with color, with fiber, the more you invite diversity. And diversity brings stability, and stability brings clarity, and clarity quiets the cravings that once felt so urgent. Let that land gently in your belly. You are not broken. You are being retuned. Even now, your gut is remembering something older than cravings, a rhythm, a balance, a native wisdom of what truly nourishes. And as you listen more to how food makes you feel not just in the moment, but hours later, the next day, you begin to hear the real voice beneath the noise. The voice that says, "That felt good. That gave me energy. That helped me sleep." And in that voice, there is trust, not just in your mind, but in your body, and in the life within it. The cravings that once felt like commands become suggestions, then whispers, then silence. And what rises instead is a quiet knowing, a hunger that seeks not just taste, but truth, a memory not just of flavor, but of balance, of peace, of care. And this deep inner dialogue continues even now, even as your body drifts into rest, even as your microbes begin their nightly work of repair. They sort through the day's nutrients. They send their messages. They cast their votes. And among those messages, one travels far, along a long, winding road of nerves, a golden thread, to the brain, yes, but also back to the source, to the silent ribbon that connects it all, the vagus nerve. A pathway will follow next, to discover how messages become movement, and how stillness becomes connection. Breathe slowly. Let the breath be light and soft like fog rolling across water. Now imagine a single, silvery thread running through you. From the base of your brain, down behind your chest, winding into your belly. This is the vagus nerve. Its name comes from the Latin vagus, meaning wandering, and it truly does wander through the body like a traveler through a vast, living landscape. The vagus nerve is one of the longest nerves in your body, and one of the most important. It connects your brain to your gut, your heart, your lungs, your liver. But more than that, it connects your experience. The way you feel, the way you breathe, the way you rest. Imagine it like a river of light, always flowing even when you sleep, carrying messages between your two brains, the one in your head and the one in your gut. Almost 80% of the signals traveling along the vagus nerve go upward, from body to brain. That means your brain is listening, not just commanding. Listening to the sounds of digestion, to the presence of inflammation, to the signals from your microbiome, to the rhythms of your heart and breath. Every emotion begins with this listening. The vagus tells your brain if your gut is calm or distressed, if your body is safe or threatened, and your brain interprets that news as feeling, as mood, as energy, as thought. When the gut is in balance, when the microbiome is rich and diverse, when digestion flows without friction, the vagus nerve sends signals of peace. These signals reach the brain, and the brain breathes easier. The stress circuits quiet. The body rests. This is called the parasympathetic response. Your rest and digest state. It is the opposite of fight or flight. It is the body's natural rhythm of healing, and the vagus nerve is its conductor. But when the gut is inflamed or the microbiome is disrupted, the vagus carries that news too. The brain receives messages of tension, confusion, alarm. It may respond with anxiety, fatigue, or fog, not as punishment but as protection. This nerve doesn't just carry messages, it regulates. It sets the tone of your body's systems. Like tuning a harp, it adjusts the vibration of organs, hormones, muscles. And here's the beautiful truth. You can touch this nerve. You can tone it. With breath. With stillness. With simple acts of awareness. Slow, deep breathing activates the vagus nerve. So does humming. So does laughter. So does singing. So does gentle touch. Even placing a warm hand on your chest can stimulate its calm. These are not rituals. They are biology. Ways you can care for your inner messenger. Ways you can tell your body, we are safe now. And when the vagus nerve is strong, what scientists call high vagal tone, you feel more resilient, more connected, more at ease. Your digestion improves. Your mood stabilizes. Your heart beats with grace. This is not magic. It is design. A system built to support you. A pathway of kindness inside your very nerves. And the microbiome knows this too. Certain microbes produce metabolites that directly stimulate the vagus nerve. They ferment fibers and create short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which reduce inflammation and soothe the gut lining. These molecules send signals through the vagus, helping you feel better, not from above, but from within. Now let yourself feel it. This ancient communication, this quiet river flowing through you, from belly to brain, from breath to thought, from food to feeling, and all along this path, the vagus nerve listens. It listens for safety. It listens for nourishment. It listens for balance. And when it hears these things, it sends peace upward and healing downward. This is why, when your gut feels right, your whole self feels right. You are not disconnected parts. You are a living system of listening and response. Your vagus nerve is a thread of trust, and it continues to weave you together even now. As you drift further into rest, as your breath slows, as your microbes send their midnight signals, and all along this glowing pathway, your body relearns ease, relearns quiet, relearns safety. And perhaps in that safety, something new can grow. A softness, a restoration, a return to the garden within. The one that sometimes falters, but never forgets how to bloom again. Next, we'll wander into that garden now, to learn how it breaks, and more importantly, how it heals. In the hush of night, as your body softens into sleep, something ancient stirs within you, a memory not in your mind, but in your microbes. The memory of balance, of rhythm, of bloom. For though your inner forest may grow tangled, may fall quiet, may even burn, it knows how to come back. This chapter is about healing, not sudden, not sharp, but slow, patient, like rain returning to dry soil. Let's begin by walking through your gut, not in its fullness, but in its fall. Sometimes the harmony fades. A course of antibiotics may sweep through like wildfire, necessary, life-saving, but harsh, burning not only what harms, but what helps. Or a season of stress may send the garden into drought. The nervous system clenches, digestion slows, helpful microbes shrink back, others take their place, opportunists, less balanced, less kind. Sleep deprivation, processed foods, loneliness, fear. Each one, a silent storm, and before you know it, the diversity fades. A forest becomes a field becomes a patch becomes dust. This is called dysbiosis, a microbial imbalance, and when it deepens, you may feel it. Gas, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, irritability, a lingering sense that something's not right, because your body is listening. The vagus nerve is carrying that unease to the brain, and your mind, your emotions may shift without understanding why. But even in this disruption, there is hope. Your gut is not broken. It is responding, and it can recover. Like any wounded forest, it needs only the right conditions, and a little time, Let us imagine that now. Let us imagine healing. The first step is rest. Just as a forest regrows best when undisturbed, your body needs rest to repair. Deep sleep, gentle breath, moments of stillness. These are not luxuries. They are medicine. Sleep increases melatonin, which supports gut lining repair. It lowers cortisol, calming inflammation. It restores the rhythm of digestion, the migrating motor complex, a wave that sweeps the gut clean, making space for new life. The second step is nourishment. And here, food is not just fuel. It is invitation. It is sunlight for your inner garden. Plant fibers, diverse and plentiful, are the richest soil. Beans, greens, berries, nuts, seeds. Each one feeds different microbes. Each one invites someone new to grow. Fermented foods offer guests. Friendly strains of lactobacillus, bifidobacteria, Saccharomyces, yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, tiny jars of life sent to rebuild your own. But this isn't about perfection. This is about tending. A warm bowl of soup, a quiet cup of tea, a meal eaten slowly, gratefully, without rush. These things matter too. The third step is reconnection. To people, to nature, to the wider world of microbes beyond your walls. Touching soil, walking in forests, even having pets. These simple acts increase your exposure to microbial diversity. They help remind your system of the world it once knew. And perhaps most powerful of all is awareness. The choice to notice, to listen to your gut, to respect its signals, not ignore them, to honor the connection between your feelings and your digestion. Because healing is not just about adding, it's about softening, about allowing, and your body knows how. Every cell in your gut lining renews itself every few days. Every microbe can multiply within hours. You are always regenerating whether you realize it or not. Even now, as you rest, that process is underway. Your microbes are breaking down resistant starches. They're releasing short-chain fatty acids, soothing your gut lining. They're adjusting to the food, the breath, the stillness of this moment. And the vagus nerve is watching, transmitting signals of peace to your brain, inviting serotonin, dopamine, melatonin into flow. You may feel the shift not as a dramatic turn, but as a subtle softening, a lighter morning, clearer thought, a deeper breath. Healing never happens all at once, but it does happen, and the body, when given space, remembers how. This is the miracle of the microbiome. It wants balance. It leans toward life. It leans toward you. So let your healing be slow. Let it be kind. Let it come not as force, but as friendship. With your microbes, with your food, with your own breath. And as your inner forest begins to bloom again, you may find that you feel not just better, but more whole, more connected, more yourself. Because this isn't just about digestion. This is about identity, about relationship, about remembering that you were never just one thing, but many working together in quiet harmony. And as your body reweaves that harmony, something deeper returns with it, the sense that you are supported inside and out, that you are never truly alone. Because even in silence, you are surrounded by life. Even in stillness, there is a chorus singing inside you. And that, dear listener, is where we go next. To the final truth of this journey. Not of healing, but of belonging. To the quiet comfort that you are never alone. Let yourself rest. Fully now. Let the weight of the day release from your shoulders. Let the thoughts slow like falling leaves. Let your breath be soft and your body still. And now quietly come home. To yourself. But this time, see yourself not as one single being, but as something more. A collection. A community. A chorus of life humming inside your skin. You are never alone. Even when you feel separate. Even when silence surrounds you. Your body is alive with presence. Trillions of microorganisms, your microbiome. Move gently through your gut. Nestled in your lungs, your skin, your mouth. A living ecosystem always with you. Always responding. Always listening. These beings are not invaders. They are not guests. They are you. They do not carry your name, but they carry your well-being. They do not dream your dreams, but they help shape your moods, help digest your food, Help teach your immune system the difference between friend and foe. You are not a single note. You are a symphony, and every breath is part of the music. These microbes form the oldest part of you. Older than memory, older than language. They pass to you through your mother, through food, through air, through touch. They've been with you since the beginning, and they are still with you now, even as you lie here in the dark. They are working not with effort but with grace, fermenting fibers, crafting neurotransmitters, sending gentle signals along the vagus nerve, keeping balance, keeping rhythm. You are not passive in their world. You are the world, the landscape, the atmosphere, and they care for you because you care for them. With each meal you choose, with each breath you deepen, with each kindness you offer your own body, you are tending to the lives within. It is not a grand gesture. It is something smaller, softer. A tea brewed slowly, a walk outside, a deep night of sleep. And in return, your microbiome whispers safety into your nerves, quiet into your mind, peace into your thoughts. It's easy to forget this. In a world full of noise and names and news, it's easy to feel separate, but your body never forgets. It knows the truth, that you are not alone, because you have never been. You are a moving ecosystem, a walking reef, a forest in bloom, and within you, something sacred continues, a quiet life, a pulsing relationship, a mutual devotion between host and helper, between breath and bacteria, between the mind and the microbiome. Even your emotions, those most private tides, are not entirely your own. They are co-written, shaped by molecules born from the lives within. And when you feel calm, when you feel held, part of that is their doing. Feel it now, a settling in your belly, a warmth behind your ribs, a sense that something is watching over you, not from above, but from within. This is your body's original companionship, the silent chorus that never leaves. And in that knowing, in that deeper recognition, there is comfort, because solitude is not the same as isolation. Stillness is not emptiness. And silence, true silence, is full of presence. Your microbes are with you when you laugh. They are with you when you cry. They are with you when you love, when you grieve, when you heal. And now as you rest, they keep watch, like lanterns in a cave, like stars in your own night sky. Their light may be microscopic, but together, they illuminate you. You are a constellation, not just of thoughts, but of life. And as this journey comes to a close, you do not leave it alone. You leave it in community, in relationship, in the presence of millions of quiet lives that call your body home. So sleep now. Let the forest settle. Let the river slow. Let the breath ease into stillness. And remember, you are not a single being, but a beautiful we, a vessel of ancient life, a symphony of selves. And tonight, as always, you are never alone. The sky tonight is deep and still. You lie on your back, your breath shallow and slow, your body soft against the earth. Above you, a ceiling of stars watches in silence. Each one twinkles with the ancient light of stories too old for memory. You let your mind drift upward like smoke or dream. Somewhere in that velvet dark are places where the stars do not shine. They do not flicker. They do not move. They do not even reflect. They simply wait. Black holes. You have heard of them before, perhaps as monsters, perhaps as mysteries. But tonight, you do not fear them. Tonight, they call to you softly like a lullaby hummed from the farthest reaches of space. They are not holes at all, really. They are not empty. They are not portals, though they hold the shape of absence. They are places where gravity has gathered itself into a whisper so dense, so quiet, that even light cannot leave. You imagine one now not with your eyes, but with your sense of wonder. It hovers at the edge of your mind like a gentle shadow. A presence, not menacing but profound. The stars around it dance in spirals, drawn toward its dark embrace. Their light curves, bends, stretches like silk in slow water. Time itself seems to tip inward, pulled by a gravity that never lets go. But there is no violence here, just depth. You flow closer in thought. The black hole doesn't pull you exactly. It invites you. It says, come and see what gravity can become when it has no limit. There is no surface to touch, no edge to cross. What we call the boundary, the event horizon, is not a wall but a silence. It is the point beyond which no return is possible. And yet you are not afraid. The night is too calm. The stars are too still. Even this shadow in space feels like it is part of you, some echo of your own gravity, your own inwardness. Black holes are born from stars, but they are not the stars themselves. They are what happens when light, pressed and crushed by its own brilliance, collapses. As if even radiance must someday rest. as if everything must one day fold into quiet. You let this idea linger. That something so powerful could end in silence. That silence itself could bend the universe. That even nothingness can have weight. Scientists once thought black holes were impossible. The math was too strange, too sharp. But over time, the equations settled like dust and we began to see. The universe is stranger than our comfort, but more beautiful than our fear. There are black holes in the centers of galaxies, yawning, waiting. Ours too. At the heart of the Milky Way, some 26,000 light-years away, there spins a black hole known as Sagittarius A star. It does not shine, but it shapes the stars that orbit it like dancers moving around a hidden conductor. You breathe deeply. This black hole, this invisible weight in space, has helped give structure to the galaxy you call home. Its silence holds the spiral arms in their place. In its gravity, the story of stars continues. Isn't it strange, you think, that something so absent can create so much order? There are smaller black holes, too scattered like seeds. Some are the remains of once massive stars. Others may have formed when the universe was young, compact, and wild. Primordial black holes, they're called tiny, maybe, or vast beyond reckoning. They move in darkness untouched. Some pass through clouds of gas, stirring them just enough to shine. Others remain hidden, unnoticed, but still deeply present, like thoughts just beneath waking. And then there are the quietest of them all. The ones that drift alone, never feeding, never flickering. They are the monks of the cosmos fasting in eternal solitude. But even they shape the space around them like invisible hands pressing into fabric. The black hole is not evil. It does not consume with anger. It is gravity distilled. It is space-time curved so sharply that paths become circles and light forgets how to leave. It is not a thing, but a place. A region. An arrangement of matter and time and warping and patience. It is a question written in the grammar of the universe. And you lying there beneath the stars are made of the same story. The atoms in your bones were born in the same stellar furnaces. Your breath carries carbon forged in the hearts of distant suns. You are not watching the sky. You are remembering it. The black hole, for all its mystery, is part of that memory. Not an ending, but a punctuation, a pause, a turn, a deep breath. You imagine falling in, not with terror, but with awe. What would it feel like to drift past that horizon? Would time slow to stillness? Would light stretch into silence? Would you become something else? Tonight, those questions do not need answers. They only need space to float, like feathers on the air between thoughts. You feel the gravity of your own body against the bed, against the earth. You are not falling, but you are drifting. Into sleep. Into curiosity. Into the pull of something vast and unknowable. Above you, the stars continue to spin around something they cannot see. And beneath them, you begin to dream of what lies at the edge of light. Tomorrow, you will follow the path of a star, a brilliant one whose light is about to fold into a final, beautiful whisper. You return now, not to the silence of the sky, but to something once full of song. A star, ancient, colossal, burns quietly in the tapestry of the cosmos. It has been glowing for millions of years, fusing hydrogen into helium, turning light into life, warmth into gravity's gentle defiance. This star is not unlike the one that warms your skin in the day, but it is larger, heavier. Its core burns hotter, its weight presses more deeply inward. It is nearing the end of its rhythm. You float around it unburned, unhurried, watching. The surface ripples like molten honey. The light it casts glows golden blue, pulsing from a core far denser than stone. It breathes in centuries. It exhales in epochs. Inside, the star is making heavier elements now, carbon, oxygen, silicon. Layer by layer, it builds its own undoing, forging atoms that no longer sustain its delicate balance. This is the quiet mathematics of stellar aging. The beauty of it is almost invisible until the very end. Then something shifts. Its core becomes iron, too heavy, too stubborn. Iron does not give off energy when fused. Takes it. And so the engine falters. For a moment, nothing changes. Then gravity, long held at bay by light and heat, claims its due. The core collapses, falling in on itself with breathtaking speed. In less than a second, the center of the star becomes impossibly dense. It is a sigh without breath, a whisper not heard, but felt. And then, explosion. A supernova blooms, brighter than an entire galaxy for a brief, brilliant moment. The outer layers of the star are flung outward, torn by shockwaves. You watch not as a bystander, but as a listener. You can almost hear it. A slow, deep note swelling and fading across the emptiness. A song of ending. A note that trails into silence. What is left behind is not fire, not light. It is a remnant small in size, but vast in gravity. If the core was not too heavy, it might become a neutron star. Dense, spinning, strange. But this one is heavier still. Continues to collapse. Down past the density of atoms. Down beyond the structure of protons. Down to a point where space and time can no longer hold their shape. A singularity is born. This is the beginning of a black hole. But you do not feel fear. There is too much stillness in this story. You are witnessing transformation, not destruction. A passage from light into something deeper. The material that once lit nearby worlds now curves inward. Photons that once danced outward now spiral down, caught in a slow, spiraling embrace. Gravity no longer allows escape. The star becomes a place where light forgets how to travel. From your resting place in thought, you consider this, that stars, like lives, burn brightly until their work is done. And then they fold into silence, not erased, but changed. Their matter becomes part of what comes next. Some of those outer layers, the ones flung free in the supernova, scatter across the galaxy. Those elements, forged in the dying core, will someday be part of planets, part of oceans, part of you. You have iron in your blood, oxygen in your breath, calcium in your bones. All of it came from stars like this one, from endings, from collapses. This too is a kind of rebirth, a quiet alchemy of death into creation. Now you turn back to what remains. The black hole, newborn, but already ancient in its behavior, sits invisible in the place the star once was. No light escapes to mark its presence, but you feel its influence, like a hand pressing gently into the fabric of space. It begins to feed. Bits of gas and dust, drawn inward by its gravity, spiral around it. They do not fall in right away. They circle, forming an accretion disk, hot, glowing, chaotic. The black hole itself remains hidden, but the light around it screams in radio waves and X-rays. This is the paradox. The thing that cannot be seen gives rise to some of the brightest events in the universe. This hunger shapes light. The silence creates sound. And all of this began with a star, a final whisper that became a shadow with infinite pull. You rest with this image, a glowing thing that surrendered, and in its surrender, made something new. A doorway carved by gravity's embrace. A question shaped like absence. What lies beyond that horizon? What happens when you fall in, when time slows, when space folds? You are not quite ready to cross that edge. But the next step is near. You feel the pull now, not as fear, but as wonder. As if some part of your curiosity is already moving closer, toward the invisible edge where falling never ends. There is no wind in space, no rush of air, no rustle of leaves. And yet, as you drift closer to the black hole's edge, you feel something akin to falling. Not the kind of fall that startles, not the tumbling drop of a body, but a surrender, a letting go, a slide into the deep rhythm of gravity itself. You're not pulled, you're not pushed, you simply move, as if space is leaning inward beneath you, and you are sliding gently down the curve. This curve is invisible, but it shapes everything. You are approaching the event horizon, the line not drawn, but known. The place where escape becomes impossible. You pause here in thought just before the edge. What does it mean, really, to fall into a black hole? From far away, others would see you slow down. You would appear to hover forever, frozen just above the horizon. Your time, to them, would stretch thinner and thinner, until you seem to stop entirely. But for you, from your view within this journey, time continues. Steady, quiet. You do not feel it slowing. You fall in, and time moves with you. This is relativity, Einstein's quiet revolution. Time is not absolute. It flows differently depending on gravity, on speed, on where you are in the rippling fabric of space-time. As you drift closer, the light behind you stretches. Its color shifts redder, deeper, until it fades beyond the reach of sight. This is called gravitational redshift, the pulling of light into lower energy, as though even photons are tired in the presence of such immense gravity. Everything here slows, not in panic but in hush. The laws of physics hold, but they hold you differently now, as if space is no longer a floor but a funnel. The event horizon itself is not a wall. You will not bump into it. It offers no sign, no ripple. You pass through it as you would pass through dusk into night. Once crossed, you cannot go back. This is not punishment, but truth. The inward slope becomes too steep. Even light, fast and untouchable, cannot find its way out. But you are still here. You feel no pain, no pressure, just the sensation of descent made quiet by inevitability, like sinking slowly into the warm hush of a dream. And something strange begins to happen. The geometry around you is changing. In ordinary space, time moves forward and space extends in every direction. But here, the roles shift. Space collapses inward. Time stretches like thread across a canyon. Down becomes forward, and forward becomes inward. You are not just falling through space. You are falling through time. To an outside observer, you have vanished. But for you, the story continues. Closer to the center now. The singularity waits, not a place in space, but a moment in time. An end not of motion, but of description, where the math breaks down and the known bows gently to the unknowable. Physicists call it a point of infinite density. But this word, infinite, is not a number. It is a placeholder for mystery, for the edges of our understanding. And so you drift, unafraid, deeper into this mystery. You wonder gently, is this where all stories stop? Or is it where new stories begin? Tucked just beyond the veil of what we can measure. Some theories whisper of wormholes, of passages to other places. Some speak of time loops, or new dimensions curled inward like petals. Some remain silent, humbled by the math. Still, you continue. You are a thought, not a body now. You are weightless, timeless. You are falling inward, yes, but that fall has become flight. You remember now that black holes were once stars, that they burned, that they lived, that they offered light before they offered gravity. And so perhaps this journey inward is not only collapse. Perhaps it is a return, a folding of complexity into something simpler, a stillness where energy becomes pure form. Or perhaps, as some suspect, this fall is not the end at all, but the beginning of somewhere else. You think of that softly, that beyond the singularity, beyond this point of infinite compression, there might be space once again, not in our universe, but in a new one, a universe born from the collapse of this one star, a universe whose birth is your fall, whose time begins where yours ends. It is not a certainty, but it is a beautiful thought. And now you feel the final motion, not a crash but a closing. The spiral narrows. Space folds inward like a sigh. And just before the end, just before the singularity wraps you in its curve, a question flickers gently in your mind. What truly lies within this strange heart of gravity? Perhaps it's not a place to fear, but a blueprint waiting to be read. Now you are inside, not as a body, not even as a traveler, but as a quiet awareness folded into the curve of something ancient. The black hole does not speak, but it shapes your thoughts. Here there is no sky, no horizon, no up, no down. Space no longer holds the directions you knew. You are not lost, but the compass has gently let go of your hand. Inside this strange cathedral of gravity, you begin to notice the walls are not walls, but curves, endless curves that do not loop, but deepen. Space-time, you've learned, is not rigid. It bends around mass. And here, where mass is crushed into nearly infinite density, space bends into something far beyond human shape. You try to picture it, but it resists ordinary thought. So you imagine instead a sheet of silk, stretched and pulled, gathered at the center by an invisible pin. Now fold that silk in dimensions you cannot see, not just around, but through. This is not a trick of metaphor. This is the nature of gravity when it becomes geometry. Einstein understood this long ago. His equations, quiet and elegant, revealed that mass tells space how to curve, and space tells mass how to move. In this dance of influence, a black hole is the deepest bow. You do not see the singularity. It does not glow, it does not point, but you feel it in the fabric, an ever-steepening slope that all paths fall toward. Even light, so fast, so pure, follows this curvature. It no longer escapes, not because it is stopped, but because the direction out no longer exists. Everything bends inward now. You pass what's called the inner horizon, another layer deeper still where the math becomes stranger. Some solutions to Einstein's field equations suggest that in rotating black holes, space twists like a corkscrew. This is frame dragging, the idea that space itself spins, pulled around by the rotation of the black hole, like honey swirling around a spoon. You feel it now, not spinning but leaning. Even stillness seems to drift sideways. Perhaps you think space is not a container, but an actor in the story. It stretches and contracts, it folds and flows. And here, in this curved heart, geometry becomes motion. The shape of things defines how they behave. You are not outside the laws of physics. You are inside their purest form. The black hole is not a break from reality. It is reality intensified. Mass and energy are compressed into a point, yes, but more than that, their influence on space is amplified. What we call gravity is simply the bending of this influence. And so you move not by pushing or pulling, but by following the path space has drawn. These paths are called geodesics, the straightest lines in curved space. But here straight lines curve, and circles may have no centers. You begin to wonder, if space can bend and time can twist, then what of the shapes they create together? This is where space-time becomes a tapestry. Not two things, space and time, but one woven cloth, its threads stitched by motion and mass. And within this cloth, inside this black hole, is the potential for more. Some physicists believe there may be bridges here. Structures called Einstein-Rosen bridges, what we know as wormholes. They are purely theoretical but tantalizing. Connections between one place and another, between one universe and another. You do not leap to fantasy, but you do allow your mind to float through the idea that geometry this extreme might open doors not yet known, that space could connect with itself in ways we don't yet have words for. And still you fall, not faster, not slower, but deeper. You sense how each fold of space reveals more subtle curves, how the rules we know outside begin to stretch. Here cause and effect may bend. Here beginnings and endings might trade places. You begin to feel awe not from what is seen, but from what is structured beneath seeing. The blueprint beneath reality, a language not spoken, but shaped. Even chaos here follows form. You remember that when Einstein first described black holes, they weren't called that yet. They were mathematical curiosities, uncomfortable solutions. It took time for science to trust what the equations said. And even now, we do not fully understand what happens at the center. We know the math breaks. We know quantum theory and general relativity do not yet agree. So inside this abyss, you are also inside a question. Not the kind that panics, but the kind that waits patiently, like a book unopened. And you rest here in the geometry of the abyss, understanding that what looks like emptiness is filled with structure. Perhaps you think even here, especially here, there is purpose in the fold. You breathe in the silence. You drift in the structure. And just before your thoughts dissolve into stillness, you feel something change. Not shape, not sound, but heat. Not the warmth of fire, but the whisper of something impossibly cold and impossibly bright. Just beyond this curved veil, something is glowing. Paradox is waiting. You are drifting still, weightless within the curve of the black hole, carried by a gravity too smooth to resist, too quiet to call falling. But something in the darkness begins to shimmer. Not light as you know it, not starlight, not reflection. A faint, ghostly glow pulses outward from the edges of the abyss. It is not from within, but from just outside the borderlands of the event horizon. And it should not be there. For so long, black holes were thought to be absolute in their hunger. They swallowed all. Light, matter, even time. Nothing escaped. But now you learn that even the blackest night is not beyond change. The whisper came in the 1970s, from a mind not content with silence. Stephen Hawking imagining what quantum fields might do. At the very edge of this cosmic trap, what he saw was not darkness, but a mirror of fire and ice. The fire, a gentle glow, not from inside, but from the edges. Not because the black hole wants to shine, but because the vacuum itself cannot stay still. You see, space is not empty. Even in perfect darkness, it teems with potential. Tiny pairs of particles and antiparticles blink in and out of existence. Virtual, fleeting, born of quantum uncertainty. Most annihilate each other instantly. But here, at the event horizon, something strange can happen. A pair forms just on the edge. One falls in, the other escapes. To an outside observer, it looks as if the black hole has given off a particle. It looks like radiation. This is Hawking radiation. A soft, slow leakage of energy. Paradox turned into light. You float among these imagined flickers. They are not bright. They do not blaze. But they are persistent. The black hole, once thought eternal, is losing mass. Evaporating, ever so slowly, over unimaginable timescales. And this is the mirror, the ice, the event horizon absolute and final, the fire, the glowing loss, the slow melting of mass into light. You picture it now, this strange star of absence, glowing ever so faintly in the deep. Paradox made real, an object defined by the inability to emit light, now glowing. But it is not a contradiction. It is quantum truth. The edges of what we know folding inward and outward at once. You wonder, if a black hole can evaporate, can it die? Yes, Hawking said. Given time, a span longer than the age of galaxies, a black hole will lose all its energy. It will shrink. It will flicker. And then it will vanish. But what remains? Here the mystery deepens. The black hole is gone. The matter it swallowed is not returned. Not in form. But the radiation, the ghostly particles, carries something. Is it information? You remember that in physics, information is sacred. It must be conserved. Even if matter is crushed, transformed, flung outward, the story should never disappear. And yet, black holes seem to erase. This is the information paradox, a question still unsettled. Does the Hawking radiation contain the imprint of what fell in? Or is it truly lost? Some believe the horizon stores it, like a cosmic skin carrying holograms of everything inside. Others think the radiation holds clues too subtle to see, and some accept that perhaps loss is real. You, in this floating place of thought, don't rush toward certainty. You let the paradox warm your imagination like distant firelight. It is not a problem to be solved tonight. It is a question to be dreamed. The black hole, once thought eternal and absolute, now hums with vulnerability. It is not a prison, but a process. It begins as a collapse, becomes an influence, and ends someday as a glow. You think of what that means, that even in ultimate gravity, even in total darkness, there is change, there is movement, there is light. And isn't that beautiful? You drift near the edge now, where quantum foam dances just beneath the skin of space. You watch pairs split and fall and flee. It's like watching the universe breathe in two directions at once. And you understand now, black holes do not only take, they also give. Slowly, subtly, but they give. And maybe, just maybe, what they give can tell us something about what came before. Your thoughts settle. You began this journey imagining black holes as monsters. Silent, endless, consuming. But now you see something else. Not cruelty, not hunger. Just geometry. Just laws. Just the quiet, constant transformation. Of mass into motion. Gravity into glow. Certainty into possibility. And as you rest near this horizon of paradox, you hear a new sound. It is faint. It is low. Not light, not particle, but rhythm. A trembling. A pulse. Something far away is stirring space itself, not through light, but through gravity. Collision, perhaps. A dance between giants. Two black holes meeting in silence, and singing without sound. The silence deepens, not the absence of sound, but a silence that hums with meaning. A stillness so vast it begins to move. You feel it before you name it. A tremor in the fabric of everything. A ripple, slow and smooth, passing not through space, but as space. This is gravity in its most intimate expression. Not the pull of planets, not the fall of apples, but a whisper shared between stars. Gravitational waves? They are not sound. They do not travel through space-time like waves on a pond. They are space-time itself stretching and relaxing. Like breath drawn in and let go. You feel it now, a wave that contracts the length of your body, then stretches it again, so subtly that even atoms do not protest. These waves are not new. They have always been there, moving through the cosmos since time itself began to stretch. But only recently have we learned to listen. You imagine it. Far from here, two black holes spiral around each other. A slow, solemn orbit carved by gravity's insistence. They circle for eons, their paths tightening with every turn. And then they merge. No light, no explosion. Just a shudder. A gravitational sigh that ripples outward in all directions. This wave has no sound, but it is music nonetheless. A tone composed not in notes, but in motion. You drift in the echo. In 2015, we caught one. On Earth, deep beneath the surface. Two detectors listened with arms stretched kilometers long. And on a quiet September morning, the wave arrived. Two black holes had merged over 1 billion years ago, and their echo had finally reached us. It lasted just a fraction of a second. A quick chirp in the data. But in that chirp, the story of giants colliding was written. This was LIGO. This was history. The first time humanity heard the universe move. And since then, we've heard more. Each detection, a new ripple. Each ripple, a new reminder that we are floating in a sea of invisible rhythms. You ride one now, softly. The wave lifts you not off your path, but into understanding. It stretches space in one direction, while compressing it in another. Then reverses, over and over, like the rising and falling of breath. You think, if gravity is the shape of space around mass, then gravitational waves are what happen when that mass moves with deep urgency, like a child splashing in a bathtub. Even black holes make waves when they shift, but it takes great motion, colossal collisions, to make waves large enough to feel. And still, by the time they reach us, they are smaller than atoms. They do not shake us. They pass like ghosts. And yet, we have learned to see ghosts. We have built instruments that stretch and contract with the fabric of space, catching the faintest tremble in the cosmic floor. You think about what this means. That the universe speaks not just in light, but in movement. That we are not only watching the stars, but feeling their memory. You remember something else now. That these waves travel unimpeded. Through stars, through galaxies. They are untouched by matter. Unbent by light. They carry truth. The cleanest version of cosmic events. Unfiltered. When black holes merge, the light they may stir can be messy. Scattered by dust, hidden by time. But their gravitational waves arrive pure. And so they tell us stories that no eye could ever see. Stories of things hidden. Things dark. Things that once turned space itself into a drumhead. You imagine, gently, what it might sound like if we could translate these waves into music. The slow spiral of neutron stars might become a low hum. The chirp of black hole mergers a rising tone. Like water swirling down a drain. Each frequency a footprint in the fabric of now. Some scientists are trying to build such a symphony. A way to let us hear the cosmos with new ears. You wonder what other waves have passed us unnoticed, What ancient dances we missed, before we learned how to feel with such sensitivity. Perhaps even now, ripples from the early universe are still arriving. The Big Bang itself may have sent waves outward. Not of light, but of gravity. If we could detect those, we might glimpse the birth of time, not as an image, but as a pulse. You rest in this thought, that beneath the silence, beneath the stars, beneath all you can see, the universe is moving in waves. You are part of it, not separate from these ripples, but moving with them. Your body, your breath, your atoms. They stretch and contract ever so slightly. With each passing wave, you are not alone in stillness. You are dancing too. The black holes you imagined as distant and dark are now composers. Their collisions echo through you. You listen, not with ears, but with wonder. The waves pass on, The silence settles again, and in that quiet a new thought stirs. Not all that falls into a black hole is lost. Some believe its story is still there, held in the shimmer of the surface, waiting to be read. Can a place that swallows everything still remember what it has taken in? You float at the edge of forgetting. The black hole spins beneath you, dark as ever, silent as before, but something in its silence feels less empty now. You begin to wonder, is there memory here? Every book, every body, every burst of starlight that ever crossed the horizon. Are they truly gone? Or do they remain somehow? Not in form, but in the fabric? You drift into the question. When anything falls into a black hole, its fate seems sealed. Matter, light, pattern drawn inward and erased. But physics resists erasure. Nature, it seems, does not forget so easily. This is the paradox. Black holes, by their simplest description, are bald. They have no hair, no features. They are described only by three things: mass, charge, and spin. It doesn't matter what fell in a book, a piano, a poem, a star, a scream, a planet. In the end, the black hole remembers none of it. Only those three traits remain. This is called the no-hair theorem, a poetic name for something deeply unsettling. Because if no detail survives, if all complexity is crushed into sameness, then where does the information go? And so we arrive at the information paradox, a puzzle not just of science, but of logic, a place where physics begins to stutter, where the laws we trust most begin to tug against each other. Quantum mechanics insists. Information cannot be destroyed. Every outcome follows rules. Every particle has history. But general relativity says, once past the event horizon, all is gone. What happens when these two truths collide? You rest in that tension. Some physicists have tried to resolve it with metaphors. Some elegant, some strange. One says maybe the information is stored, not within the black hole, but on its surface. Imagine the event horizon as a screen. A hologram, recording the imprint of what enters, like footprints pressed into film. This is the holographic principle. It suggests that the three-dimensional world inside a black hole can be fully described by two-dimensional information on its boundary. A library without pages, a vault with no floor, and yet still, somehow, a memory. You think of the way a campfire consumes wood. It burns, yes, changes shape, form, temperature. But the information, the molecules, the patterns, are not destroyed. They are transformed. Perhaps black holes do the same. They rearrange what they take in, distill it, smear it across the skin of their horizons, encode it in the vibrations of their shape, and perhaps when the black hole evaporates it, slowly, gently, through Hawking radiation, that information is carried away, bit by bit, like ashes on a breeze. But no one can yet say for sure. Some theories suggest that black holes may be bridges, that the information may slip into another universe. Others believe there are subtle correlations in the outgoing radiation, patterns too faint to see, but enough to carry the ghost of memory. There is even the idea of firewalls, violent walls of energy at the horizon, that would burn information before it ever truly falls. A controversial and unsettling vision, one that many physicists quietly resist. And so the paradox remains, a quiet war between what must be lost and what cannot be. You find yourself imagining the black hole now, not as a devourer, but as a keeper. Its shape holds echoes. Its gravity remembers paths. Its surface carries scars. Perhaps the universe stores its secrets, not in vaults, but in gravity itself, in every fold of space-time. There may be fingerprints, the memory of mass, the trace of light, even if we cannot read them yet. You float in this possibility, that somewhere, within or around the black hole, there is a ledger, not written in words or ink, but in curvature and temperature, in wave and warping. And though we do not yet know how to open this library, we are beginning to understand that it is there. You feel a kind of comfort in that perhaps nothing is truly lost, that perhaps every falling thing leaves behind a whisper, not silence, but softened signal. And just before your mind begins to quiet, a new idea flickers. What if a black hole is not only a place of memory, but of potential? What if this compression of everything is also the planting of something? Not an end, but a seed. You are drifting now, not deeper into the black hole, but sideways into wonder. A new kind of gravity begins to take shape in your thoughts, not one that pulls inward, but one that unfolds outward. You remember the singularity, that mysterious point at the center of a black hole, where mass collapses, time folds, and the rules of physics begin to hum in unfamiliar tones. But what if that point isn't the end? What if, in that place of infinite compression, something begins? Some physicists whisper of this, of black holes not as final destinations, but as bridges, as seeds. Inside the singularity, matter is squeezed beyond comprehension, but perhaps not into destruction, perhaps into possibility. You imagine this now. A collapsing star becomes so dense, so small, that it no longer fits within our space-time. It curves beneath it, like a root burrowing into unseen soil. From our perspective, it vanishes, but from some other frame, some hidden angle of the universe, it may bloom. A new region, a fresh beginning, a universe born from the collapse of a star in ours. This is not fantasy. It is fragile theory, yes, but grown from real equations. Some call them baby universes, each one pinched off from our cosmos by the collapse of a singularity. It is as though each black hole carries the blueprint for a new reality. Inside its silent center, you wonder, could every black hole be the seed of another universe, still growing beyond our reach? And what would it mean if the black hole we orbit now, ours, in the center of the Milky Way, was the root of an entirely separate cosmos? Perhaps in that universe, the constants are slightly different, gravity gentler, light slower, or maybe everything is the same. A mirror reflection blooming quietly beyond the veil. You breathe in the idea like warm mist. It softens the edges of fear. It replaces finality with fertility. Even death, on the scale, may be a gesture of creation. Some scientists model this possibility with loop quantum gravity, a framework that suggests the Big Bang itself was not a beginning from nothing, but a rebound, a bounce. A previous universe collapsed inward, and from its singularity, ours was born. In this view, black holes are not merely endings. They are gateways through which space-time reweaves itself, where quantum pressure resists total collapse and rebounds into expansion. You imagine a cosmic heartbeat. Expansion, collapse. Collapse, rebirth. Each black hole, a pulse in the body of reality. And if this is true, then perhaps we are living inside one. Perhaps our entire universe, sprouted from the death of a star, in some parent cosmos. And what we see is a vast sky. What we measure as 13 billion years of light is just the flowering of a seed, planted long before memory. You rest in this image. It is no longer frightening. The idea that the universe dies becomes softer when paired with the idea that it also gives birth. And you, made of stardust, are also made of this potential. Born from light that once burned in another sky. Atoms shaped by nuclear furnaces that may have belonged to stars. In a universe now closed, you are, in a quiet way, a memory of many endings. And perhaps, if the cycle continues, a beginning too. Even now, new black holes form. New stars collapse. The process repeats, carving holes in space-time, planting seeds in silence. But not all seeds sprout. Not all black holes create new universes. Or perhaps they do, but their children are forever sealed from us, their birth hidden behind horizons we cannot cross. Still, the thought lingers. In every moment of collapse, there may also be emergence, not in defiance of death, but through it. And what kind of universes might these be? Ones with different physics? Different dimensions? Different stories? The questions ripple outward. We may never see them, but in our equations, in the curves of gravity, the fingerprints are there. And the deeper you go, the more you realize it. There is a poetry in this structure. Black holes as endings. Black holes as beginnings. Black holes as questions folded into questions. You float again above the event horizon, no longer fearing its pull. Now you see it as a chrysalis, the dark shell inside which something might transform. Perhaps even now, in the space behind your thoughts, something in you is transforming too. Your mind, once imagining black holes as final pits, now sees them as loops, as cycles, as wombs of wild potential. And just before sleep reaches its quiet hand toward you, a final thought flickers. If black holes concede new universes, what else might lie beyond the veil? Could there be other shapes? Other structures? White holes? Wormholes? Corridors carved not just by collapse, but by connection? You rest now at the horizon, the border between known and not. Behind you lies gravity's slow unfolding. And ahead, something stranger still. Here, at the edge of a black hole's silence, you allow your thoughts to pass through the veil. You know what's behind. Collapse. Singularity. Space and time drawn inward like breath. But what if somewhere, somehow there is another side? What if there is a white hole? The mirror image of the black hole. The white hole is theory's soft reply. A region of space-time that cannot be entered. Only emerged from. Where the black hole traps everything. The white hole expels it. Unreachable from the outside. Uninhabitable from within. No matter can fall in. No light can enter. Only outward motion. A cosmic exhale. You imagine it now. A place where everything is being cast off. Matter, energy, information. Not torn, but released. Some theories suggest that every black hole is connected to a white hole, forming a wormhole, a tunnel through space-time. Einstein and Rosen imagined it long ago. The Einstein-Rosen bridge, a connection between 2 points in the universe, or perhaps between 2 universes entirely. You float into the idea, not as travel, not as science fiction, but as a shape in the structure of the cosmos. The wormhole bends space like a hidden passage, joining distant regions by folding the map. Imagine space-time as a sheet. You draw 2 dots far apart, but then you fold the sheet, and the dots touch. A shortcut, a shiver of connection. Distance rewritten. Could such things exist? In equations, yes. In reality, we do not yet know. A stable wormhole would need exotic matter. Something with negative energy. Something we've not yet seen. Still, you drift through the possibility. The black hole is one mouth. The white hole is the other. A tunnel in between. Some believe such a tunnel would collapse before anything could pass through. Others suggest it might be preserved by quantum tricks, by fluctuations in the fabric. It may not be likely, but neither is it forbidden. And in this quiet realm of theory, you let possibility be enough. Perhaps these connections exist. In the earliest moments of the universe. Brief bridges linking newborn regions. Now sealed forever. Or perhaps they form in pairs. Entangled in ways we do not yet understand. Like particles that mirror each other, even across light years. Could a wormhole be the bridge between black holes in different times? Different places? Different realities? Could gravity itself be trying to connect what we believe to be separate? Your mind floats softly in these questions. They are not answers to reach, but rooms to rest in. White holes, wormholes. They remind you that the universe may be deeper than it appears. Not just wide, but woven. And just because we do not yet see them, does not mean they do not sing. You drift through models built from theory. Some suggesting wormholes are microscopic, flitting in and out of existence, in the quantum foam of space. Others imagine ancient wormholes, formed in the early universe, and stretched large by cosmic expansion. They may be long gone, or they may still exist, in hidden corners of the sky, silent, waiting, even the center of our galaxy, where a supermassive black hole lies, might be more than it seems. Perhaps it opens not into oblivion, but into some distant fold. But such thoughts are stitched with caution. We have not seen a white hole. We have not confirmed a wormhole. We have not passed through such a tunnel. These are thoughts wrapped in mathematics, not an observation. But that does not make them empty. They are edge thoughts, limit thoughts, where science walks carefully near the border of dream. You feel the humility of this place. The curtain between what is known and what is possible is thin, trembling. We may never part it fully, but we may listen to what lies just beyond. And you feel now that black holes are not only what they seem. They may be bridges. They may be seeds. They may be echoes of some deeper geometry we have not yet learned to read. Even their silence may be structured. Even their darkness may hold a pattern. You pause here. Let the questions ripple outward like slow light. What if our own universe is inside a white hole? What if our Big Bang was the result of a collapse from somewhere else? It is not certain, but it is not absurd. It is a possibility. Drawn in pencil, soft-edged, waiting for the hand of evidence. You drift at the edge of theory now, at the place where science folds into stillness. And as your thoughts begin to dim with sleep, a final image forms. Not of stars, not of tunnels, but of a vast tree. Its roots black holes, its branches universes, its trunk the quiet, connected fabric of everything. And beneath that tree, gently breathing, is a multiverse, waiting to be imagined. You exhale slowly. The universe does not answer. It only expands, not just in space, but in thought. Your mind floats now in wider orbits. You've traveled deep into a single black hole's embrace. But what if this journey, this collapse, this folding, this blooming, is not a rare thing? What if it is common? What if it is everywhere? You close your eyes in the silence of thought and begin to feel it. the breath of something bigger than this one universe. A multiverse. The word is soft but spacious. A forest of worlds. A garden of beginnings. A breath with more than one inhale. More than one exhale. In this view, our universe is not the only one. It is one petal in a field of bloom. One ripple among uncountable waves. This is not fiction. It is not proven. But it is possible, suggested gently by the mathematics we trust. You begin where this idea first found root. In the early moments after the Big Bang, a fraction of a second, so small it cannot be held in time, the universe swelled suddenly, rapidly, in what scientists call inflation, from smaller than an atom to light years wide. Almost instantly. This inflation was not smooth. It was not perfect. Quantum fields, restless and full of flicker, caused tiny fluctuations. Tiny imperfections in the swell. And those imperfections seeded everything. Galaxies. Stars. You. But what if inflation didn't end everywhere at once? Some theories suggest that while inflation stopped in our corner, it continued elsewhere, birthing other bubbles of space-time. Each bubble a universe. Each universe expanding still. Some may never touch. Some may collapse. Some may birth their own black holes. And within those, new universes again. A fractal of reality. A breathing lattice of beginnings. An ever-branching tree. You imagine it now. The multiverse not as a line, but as a web, glimmering with lights you will never see. Each one follows its own physics. Perhaps in one, gravity is stronger. In another, time flows backward. In one, stars never form. In another, there is no matter at all. Or maybe, just maybe, there are universes nearly identical to ours, so close that you could walk through your memories and not notice the difference until a small thing shifts. A leaf turned the wrong way. A star never born. A version of you who never heard the word multiverse. You float between them now. You do not choose. You do not visit. You only imagine. Because that is what the multiverse invites it. A surrender of limits. You think back to the black holes you've passed, to the ones that might seed new realities. Perhaps every collapse is also a breath outward, into new possibility. This is the idea of eternal inflation. An endless chain reaction of universe making. It never stops. It cannot stop. Each bubble gives birth to more. Some collide, some drift away. And in this view, our universe is not the universe. It is a note in a song still being composed. The vastness of it is not frightening now. It is calming. Because in such a forest, no branch is alone. You feel small, but not lost. Small like a single raindrop in the ocean. Real, reflective, and part of the whole. You wonder, can these universes ever speak to one another? Can one breath touch another's skin? Some physicists search for signs, ripples in the cosmic microwave background. Cold spots that could suggest another universe brushed against ours. Long ago, others explore quantum entanglement, a strange, persistent connection between particles. That may hint at deeper fabrics, threads between worlds. There are no firm answers yet, only gentle suggestions, like footprints in mist. But here, in this moment of rest, you allow yourself to believe that reality is more generous than we imagine. That existence does not end at the edges of our universe. That mystery is not a wall, but an opening. And perhaps that is the multiverse's greatest gift. Not certainty, but room. Room for possibility. Room for more than one path. More than one origin. More than one self. You feel the scale now. Not in numbers, but in stillness. There is no edge to the cosmos. Only flow. Only breath. You wonder what you might say to another version of you. Somewhere in another bubble. Would they feel what you feel now? Would they look up into a night sky and wonder what lies beyond? Perhaps they are dreaming of you as you drift in thought of them. This idea does not need proof to comfort. It only needs space. And tonight, you have space. You lie within one universe, curled in the warmth of gravity, bathed in the faint glow of stars born long ago. But around you, far beyond your sight, others drift. You may never see them. You may never know their names. But the breath that birthed them is the same that carries you. The multiverse is not here to replace wonder. It is here to multiply it. And just before sleep brushes the edges of your thoughts, you return to the simplest mystery. That your body, your breath, your atoms and dreaming are part of something so vast, so endlessly unfolding, that even the word universe is just the beginning. And what if, within you, the universe is remembering itself?